In the often global derivative-driven gold price discovery market, price action history rhymes. The gold spot price, again, got a post-U.S. presidential election $100 an ounce price shaving to start this past week. The waterfall gold price sell-off followed on the heels of the media's Biden U.S. presidential win proclamation late last week, and it also coincided with Monday's Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine headline. The spot price of gold has basically since chopped sideways for the week. And later in this week's SD Bullion market update, we'll relook at key potential downside price point levels for both gold and silver that you could target should there be any more sell-offs this month. Looking back at the 2016 U.S. presidential election gold spot price sell-off data, we can see about the same amount of notional fiat Federal Reserve note trading volume was induced to flush longs into stop-loss selling this past week as well. How much further might gold and silver spot prices fall on this current consolidation? Stay tuned to the end of this update. I'll give you my personal potential target and time frame for what I think, for it looks like we still have a bit more in price consolidations upcoming. Hello, this is James Anderson on behalf of SDBullion.com. If you enjoy and find value in these weekly bullion market updates, please do me a favor. Scroll down below and hammer the like button. Also share this content with those who you believe might also find it entertaining as well. Now, although the media has already called the 2020 election for Biden, that's not who has the final say, and both the current U.S. president and many of his supporters remain adamant that their actions and legal appeals will turn the tide in favor of the Trump administration winning this election before it's all said and done. We're going to begin this week hearing from an often outspoken gold and financial market commentator, best-selling author James G. Grickards, who goes sometimes by short name Jim Rickards, a man who had the following important points in a Daily Reckoning article he penned this past Monday entitled, "It's Going to the Supreme Court." He stated, "The major news outlets have declared Joe Biden the winner of the 2020 presidential election, based partly on a projection that Biden would win Pennsylvania's 20 electoral votes. Well, maybe, maybe not. Projections are not official certifications, let alone final votes in the Electoral College, the composition of which will not be determined until December 8th. The actual Electoral College vote for president happens on December 14th. In particular, the Pennsylvania outcome is based on counting several 100,000 mail-in ballots that were received after Election Day. Pennsylvania state law passed by the legislature requires that mail-in ballots must be received by Election Day in order to be counted. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court, dominated by elected Democrats, ordered that mail-in ballots could be counted if they were received up to 3 days after Election Day. But the U.S. Constitution clearly says that state election laws are to be set by the legislature of each state. Trump claims that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court decision is unconstitutional because it violates the requirement that legislatures set the rules. That claim is now headed to the U.S. Supreme Court. If that court agrees with Trump, then the late Pennsylvania ballots could be discarded, and Trump would win Pennsylvania. Numerous challenges are working their way through the system. The processes and deadlines in several states could change the outcome of the presidential election. Depending on what happens in Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, Trump could still emerge a winner. That's a long shot, and I'm not holding my breath, but we must consider all possible outcomes. Even if Biden emerges as the winner in the end, an even more decisive political race is yet to be decided. In fact, 2 races. Going into election night, the Republicans held control of the U.S. Senate by a 53-47 margin, counting 2 independents with the Democrats. As of now, the winners in the Senate race would result in a 49-48 edge for the Republicans with 3 seats undecided. One of the undecided seats is in Alaska. The race has not officially been called because Alaska has many remote locations and it takes time to round up the ballots, but the Republican candidate leads by a 2-1 margin, and all analysts agree the Republicans will likely hold that seat. So that puts the score at 50-48 in favor of Republicans, but that's still not control. The Democrats will need 50 seats for control, where Vice President Kamala Harris can break a 50-50 tie, while Republicans need 51 seats for control, an outright majority. What's up with the 2 missing seats? Both seats are in Georgia, and that state has a peculiar rule that you cannot win a Senate race unless you get over 50% of the vote even if you got more votes than your opponent. On election day, no one got 50% in either of the two Senate races. And this was because of third-party candidates and some Republicans fighting each other. Georgia law says, in such cases, the two top contenders face a runoff election on January 5th, 2021. With only two names on each ballot, someone must get 50% and be declared the winner. One runoff involves Kelly Loeffler, Republican, versus Ralph Warnock, Democrat. The other runoff involves David Perdue, Republican, versus John Ossoff, Democrat. Loeffler and Perdue are both incumbents today. If Republicans win one or both of these races, they keep control of the Senate. If Democrats win both these races, they take control of the Senate. Control of the Senate will be determinative of even bigger issues, like the Green New Deal, statehood for Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C., tax increases, packing the Supreme Court, and more. These changes will affect the shape of governance in the United States in a deleterious and irreversible way. Never have two Senate runoff elections been more important between now and January 5th. We should all have Georgia on our minds. So not only is the executive branch still floating in the wind of political control, so too is control of the U.S. Senate. If Democrats somehow run the table in all three of these races, I would strongly expect gold and silver spot prices to begin racing higher by early Q1 2021. Looking at the last month of transparent silver ETF and commodity exchange inflow data, JP Morgan custodian SLV is still getting the majority of inflows for silver bets. That has basically been the record pace case for the entirety of the year 2020, with a reported over 250 million ounces of silver supposedly flowing to backstop that one silver derivative alone. Of course, those who are retail shareholders in SLV are unsecured creditors, and they cannot take physical delivery of any silver. They only get exposure to a non-premium related price, which supposedly tracks the spot price of silver. You also get the privilege of paying 40 basis points per year for that. Turning to the chart right here on the right, shows the amount of silver value held within all these ETFs and exchanges with silver. And I suggest this is about the look that the silver spot price chart will have later in 2021 into the year 2022, as silver makes another run to and eventually through $50 an ounce this time. Now, turning to the potential downside price consolidation lows for gold and silver through the upcoming weeks that I had promised to get into. We'll start with the longer-term 200-day moving average gold chart so you can get a better understanding of my reasoning. Gold bull markets during full fiat currency eras typically come with two runs, and the second one ends with a manic blow-off top where the majority of the gains happen in the final exponential price movement. During these green blocked sections below, the 200-day moving average often acts as support, where in my opinion, we're still due to test the low 1800, even high 1700s an ounce price floor, likely this month of November 2020. The current 200-day moving average for gold is at 1780, and 1800 being the psychological level as well. So I'm holding cash to buy if that price dip comes to pass in the next few weeks. Note, too, that for the silver version of this chart, the 200-day is in the low 20s an ounce. And while it's possible, I think are again seeing a silver spot price in the teens denominated in these fiat Federal Reserve notes, those days may never be coming back. Finally, this is the gold-silver ratio version of this 200-day moving average chart during this full fiat currency era. During major bull market moves where silver outperforms gold, in the bottom half of the chart, you can see the blue line dips and stays below the red line, the red zero line, often for years at a time. I argue that we're in one of those eras right now, and it should outlast the 1979 and 2010 to 2011 versions. Of course, we may float back and retest that red horizontal line, perhaps even draw back beyond it, but we will eventually snap back beyond the old 2011 low as the silver market gets manic to come. Basically, in short, time is running out as one of the final great bullion and precious metal entry points is bearing down upon us. Once this election mess gets settled and Q1 2021 is fully underway, we will have to deal with the ongoing mess of our economy and Main Street as the viral crisis grows worse by the day. Some of you out there, you don't want to hear this, but I'm going to stick with the damning data ongoing because it matters. To fiscal, monetary, and economic policies upcoming, the narrative that basically financial experts use, we now have new record highs for both daily cases and currently hospitalized in the USA. And this recent data still looks terrible. The following charts from trackingtherecovery.org speak to this fact. Remember, nearly 70% of the US economy is driven by consumer spending, and many of these people are strung out on consumer debts. They don't have work. And here's the job posting data. That's off by nearly 20% at a time when a lot of these people need work. Small business revenues still off by about a fourth. No matter which party inherits the White House or gains control of the U.S. Senate, regardless of the appointees they allow to continue or perhaps replace the ones that further loot the U.S. Treasury, this party's barely begun. Infinite QE stimulus and even further lockdowns may be coming this winter 2021. Fire up the fiat keyboards. It's not long before gold and silver values get manic in response. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to give our video a thumbs up. To keep getting bullion-related news and industry insights, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Finally, hit that alert button so you know when we publish fresh content. Give us your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know what you think and which topics you want to hear more about.